Nice.
Good afternoon or night. Welcome to the first ever Space Talk. I'm your host, Coleman Mangle, and today we're going to be talking about space achievements that have led to the space programs that we have now and also to the type of space travel we have today. First, I'm going to introduce our special guest, Momo, and he's going to put his input on the topic. Momo, what do you think is the most important thing that's ever been achieved with space travel?
I believe the first Apollo missions that have led to, or basically the space race between the Soviet Union and the US, was, I believe, what led uh, the whole research to what we have today. That's what I think on that side.
So, why do you think it's the most important? Because, I mean, obviously answers differ and all that, and people have different opinions on it. So, why is it that you think that's the most important?
I think because, well, basically the space race between the Soviet Union and the US was a big thing back in the 60s and 70s. Uh, 1969, I believe, was the first human to ever touch the moon, uh, which was pretty interesting back in the days, probably. And that has led to a lot of knowledge that we have today and research, and has given us like the structure that we need to know what we need to do in the future. So that's like the basics of space travel and stuff like that.
So, I agree with you definitely. The Apollo missions and all of those missions were definitely they sort of started off really the space programs really, at least where they sort of started hitting big at. They took us to the moon and but then we didn't really get much more done. We sort of went to the moon, and we haven't been back since. You'd think in, you know, 40 plus years, we'd have went back by now. So, I mean,
I Yeah, I would have expected us to be by the moon at least a couple more times than just once or a couple times that we have been there. Which is kind of disappointing because they only did it a couple times, and then since 40 years or so, we never had another mission to the moon besides probes and stuff like that. But or at least we even had missions to Mars, but we didn't even really discover the moon yet, and we don't even know the materials on it. And don't really have a lot of knowledge about the moon than we have about Mars because we have the Perseverance rover and everything on there, which is big achievement, but we still don't know pretty much nothing about the moon. And yeah, I mean, I we should have by 2024. Elon Musk is doing the lunar missions with the how's it called? That big shuttle. What was it?
Starship.
Exactly, the Starship. They want to do the lunar mission by 2024. I believe was that.
Uh,
So
Not exactly sure on that day. I know he plans to put his original plans were to put people, well, not people, but the first cargo on Mars in 2024. I think that deadline's gonna be pushed back though, due to it not
most
really
likely, yeah.
just because of all the time restraints and everything else he's had recently. So,
Well, I expect to the next human on moon by at least in the next 10 to 15 years. That's gonna be the latest. I will have somebody on there soon.
yeah, like NASA's Artemis program, it says they're gonna have people on there by 2026, but we're never really sure with that because, Artemis program started multiple years ago, like pretty long time, near when I was born almost. Well, a little later than that, but still it's almost sort of in my opinion it's just we should have people on the moon, on Mars, because Werner von Braun, famous aerospace engineer, he sort of, came up with the Saturn V. They've and on the engines, the Bell engines and all. So it's like you'd think we would keep using his plans to further
Yeah.
the space programs. And it's just we haven't really done that as much as you think we would. Because I mean, he had plans to take us to Mars with the same, with the same rocket, the Saturn V rocket. So I mean, you would think if we can take it to the moon, why why wouldn't we have a base there? Because I mean, that was his whole
Yeah.
plans. He had plans to basically put people on there and stay and colonize the moon, and then put people on Mars and colonize Mars. So I mean, what's your take on that?
I mean, we really don't have a lot of knowledge about the moon. We know we have named a lot of places. We have some probes from the Apollo 11 missions and co, but we do not have any base or any rover that's active currently on moon or on any lunar surface, which is, I don't know. I don't really think good about that stuff because we should have more knowledge to our moon than we should have on Mars right now. I mean, Elon Musk is thinking about making Mars Earth-like. It's gonna take hundreds and maybe even thousands of years to even do that, or not even maybe even millions. So that's not nowhere close to my lifetime. But I'm expecting within the next year or so that we will get at least a couple bases, as you said, stationed on Moon, so we can do further research and just figure out more to our closest planet than we do uh, on Mars. So just get some knowledge about the planet that's closest to us before we exceed to interplanetary missions.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, we have the moon. Obviously, it's far away, but it's not far away in terms of space travel. So it's like we should have people on there and colonize that before we colonize Mars, which I get. They're two different places, completely different, you know? But like you said, we're not going to have Mars turn into a human like place until I'm dead, you'll be dead. So, I mean, I get we want to do it for the future, but why wouldn't we go ahead and do something to affect now instead of affecting something that's going to happen later? Which, don't get me wrong, that's a really big thing. Like, when, let's just say, the first person that ever invented a car or something, and they just made it so it consumes millions and millions of gallons of gas instead of what we have now. Which, don't get me wrong, they still do that, but they're more fuel efficient than they could have been. So, like, instead of your truck getting like 14 miles a gallon, which is not that great, it might be getting like 3 or 4. So, I mean, we probably wouldn't have much gasoline really, but that of ours also would have pushed for more electric cars and stuff like that. But, I mean, it's just how it is. So, I mean, we also have to do stuff for the future, but we also need to get stuff done for the present because personally, I want to be able to say, let's just say in 20 years when I've graduated high school and college, and I would want to be able to go. I mean, personally, that's my opinion. I wouldn't want to be stuck in one place for my whole lifetime. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you could say the same with yourself. You wouldn't want to just be stuck in one place.
I mean, the Earth is a very big place. I personally haven't been over to 10 countries yet, but I'm still young. I'm 15, 16 years. So I still have a lot of life in front of me that I can get more experience with. For example, discover some other countries, travel a lot. And of course, at some point, it's going to get boring. And every part on the earth. There's no part on any city or country that is perfect, where there's no issues or anything, because of all the crime rates and all that shit that's going on currently. But I personally think, just as you think it too, that I would find it pretty interesting if me or my kids in the future, depending on how many generations are left until we can do that, could travel to another planet and instead of living on Earth, they continue their life on, for example, Moon or Mars. I
Yeah,
mean,
like,
of course, it's something new. Of course, it's going to be fun and interesting for everybody. But as of now, I do not mind with living on Earth. But I personally would like to have something new coming up that big and be part of it in my lifetime. That would be great.
yeah, like what you say about that, I agree with. Like, obviously, I won't, especially my kids. I feel like by the time I have kids or grandkids, definitely. But by the time I have kids, I feel like we should be able to take people to go to Mars or go to the moon and live there. But I mean, that's just my opinion on it. And, it's just like people say, are we gonna do it? Like, we've had plans to do it and people want to do it, but it's just do we have the people that are actually gonna do it? Because I mean, the Artemis program, like I pointed back to, it's been going on for years and years and years now. It's been so far over budget, it's unbelievable. But then you have SpaceX and Boeing, and SpaceX obviously led by Elon Musk, the big one, and they're doing most of the heavy lifting for NASA. They're putting their stuff in space, such as the DART mission that's happened recently. They're taking people up to the International Space Station. So it's almost at this point, who's going to do it first? I mean, obviously SpaceX has made things to colonize Mars, and NASA wants to do the same eventually. But I feel like it's going to be a race between who does it first.
Yeah. Well, you're right on that one, but it's yeah, you're right. Technically. So what we're waiting on is who does it first, just like you said it. Uh, it's all gonna take a while. I mean, we still have 2 years left till we have something from SpaceX coming, which probably most likely get delayed a couple years back. So I'm expecting something big happening not before 2025, 2026. And then after that, we might have like one mission, one or two missions to Mars and co and try out the Starship and co and see how that goes. It's like currently the most talked thing about in space history. And it's
Yeah,
also record holding currently. It has tallest rocket that's going to be ever built.
yeah, which is pretty neat in my opinion, especially with all the rocket side on it and all. Like we have so many different rockets now, but it's almost like which ones are the best at this point. Which SpaceX Starship, you look at it, okay, it's gonna be this big, it can do this, but can it do this? It's gonna be reusable and all that, which is great. We need that. That was probably, in my opinion, I would say back to the first question to him, would probably be one of the biggest things that's definitely happened for achievement wise is not just autonomous landings, being able to reuse a rocket because they claim the space shuttle was reusable, but it was really only refurbishable. So it's almost at the point where do we draw the lines and all that stuff. But personally, I think SpaceX is going to be the people that gets there first, and obviously, I feel like by what is 2021 now, I would say by 2026 because we have the 2022 launch window, then the 24, 26, and I think it goes. It's either 28 or 29 after that because of the weird cycles. But I think by 26, I feel like we'll either have the first bit of cargo, well, or stuff to live on Mars with, or it'll be 28, 29 by the time we do that. Which either way, it'd be a great accomplishment, but I feel like if SpaceX does it first, we'll definitely build up a place up there and not just come back and stay like we did with the Apollo missions, which in my opinion is definitely our biggest regret on that. It's just not staying because obviously if we were multi-planetary already, which would only be a planet and a moon, that I feel like definitely as humans we'd have gone a further way as like scientific research and all that. Because it's not like we harvested everything we could have done at the moon. There's definitely more science and all we can do up there. But it's just, we gotta get up there and do it, which obviously I'm not old enough to do it. In my country, I'd have to go through a bunch of college and all that. But I mean, I feel like that's definitely something more people need to work on. It's just, we have the people, it's just we need people that actually want to do it.
Thing is that you mentioned the first part. Elon Musk also thinking about when he's sending first mission to Mars or Starship to use material from Mars to build uh like how you call it, habitats for future astronauts that's coming there. So they want to like build bases ish with some weird like it's gonna be like a 3D printer, but just by Mars materials. That's what
Yeah,
they said at least.
I saw that. That was one of the more recent, like, big NASA competitions, is what I saw. But yeah, that'll be definitely pretty neat. I looked at that and it's pretty cool. So yeah, but really, it's just who wants to go and who wants to stay. Because, I mean, it's 7 months there, and with NASA's, it's 7 months there, and are you gonna get to come home? That's the big thing. Like, we've
Yeah,
never been to Mars, or we've never tried to return anything from Mars. So it's like, whoever goes is gonna have to be willing to die. Because, yeah, you don't want to say that, but at
it
the
is
end
like that.
point,
Yeah,
I mean, we can go, we can land, we know that. We've put stuff there. We have rovers. We have mini helicopter, which is pretty neat. But w- we've got to land, and we've got to take off again. The Martian atmosphere is different. I mean, who knows? We might go up, and we could go be going up, and it just doesn't. We just the engine fails, the engine blows up, anything like that could happen. It's just how life really works.
yeah, you're right on that one. Well, I think no astronaut is willing to say, "I'm not going to come back." They, I think, have a family or friends they want to come back to after their missions. So that's one big issue that the at least space agencies are having right now to get people that are willing to do something like that and have the potential of dying and know that they can't get back to Earth after, for example, mission to Mars. So that's one of the issues that we're currently having as well.
Yeah, I mean I don't know internally about NASA if they're having that issue. ESA, Roscosmos, JAXA, Chinese Space Agency, any of those. I don't really know internals on those, but especially with NASA, they brought in a new class of astronauts just a few days ago. Really, I don't even think a month old. And the real thing is looking at them, I see military, and I saw about three civilians. I might have counted wrong though, but it was mostly military, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying civilians can't handle the mission, which I'd love to do a mission to Mars. But military people, they are like most of them were like majors or lieutenants and all. So I mean, they know what it's like to be without the people they love, really, because they've done it for a while. They know how it is to live their life without people that, like they're far away from their loved ones and all. Yeah, they have friends, but you'd also have friends up there. But I mean, I think that's the main thing, especially, don't get me wrong, this is a funny movie also, but the Space Force movie on Netflix it's a great movie, but I think it brings in a good point when it talks about the like they're doing the simulation, the moon-based simulation, and they throw
Mhm.
someone completely random in there. And well, he's not random to the people that are watching, but to the people inside the moon base, he's random. And you can see for the first little bit and all, tensions are high, all that. They get along. After that, though, but who knows? Yeah, you might be good with everyone and all, but you gotta think, you're gonna be up there for 7 months to get to Mars. 7 months back, so that's already 14 months. And then you have basically 2 years you have to wait. You have to be on Mars for 2 years. So how are you gonna handle 7 months plus 7 months? Already 14 months. That's a year. Then you got 2 years, a little more than 2 years. So I mean, you're at 3 plus years. You're probably gonna say about 3.5 to 4 years before you're back on Earth. That's a long time. I mean, no one really thinks of it like that, but I mean, I I have family members and all, and yeah, I love them. But I mean, I would personally love to do something like that. I mean, obviously, I don't know how I'd do doing it, but I mean, that's the thing. We don't know how it's going to go until it goes, because we can simulate it all we want, where it's just the people that are going on that mission for however long they want to simulate it for. But you don't really know until you do it. So I mean, it's just no one really knows what's going to happen.
It's almost like just going to be a game of waiting to see what the future is going to bring to us. I
Yeah,
mean, there is nothing we can predict. We can predict things, but we'll never know what will make it into reality,
yeah. Especially
which
like
is.
with NASA's, they're only planning on taking so many. Like SpaceX obviously not gonna load up a full starship with 100 people and take to Mars the first time because they don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
But after that, 100 people in a starship at a time. I'll be honest with you, 100 people sounds like a party. I mean,
true.
there's just only so many people that are on the International Space Station at the time. But I mean, they can talk to their friends and family. But I mean, you take 100 people up, hey, you're gonna have some good friends. You're gonna have a good time probably. I mean, obviously you're gonna have
Yeah,
jobs and all that you gotta keep doing, but you're not gonna be just with like the same four, three, five, 6 people the entire time. And I mean, you're gonna have different people you can hang out with. There's more stuff you can do in a bigger area like that. You can't just eat, sleep, work out, and eat food. So
yeah. I mean, you're right in the part with 100 people on the starship, but realistically seeing, it's gonna be tight, and of course, what I'm expecting is it's not gonna be just paradise and everybody loves each other. Of course, there's gonna be some arguments. I'm betting because if you only have 3 members on a cruise ship, that's easier to understand if they would like each other or not. Than if you have 100 people that don't really know each other very well. There is going to be a lot of argument, and you never know what that leads up to.
like you say, there's gonna be arguments too, but it just we don't know what's gonna happen. It's just are the arguments gonna lead to disaster, or is everyone gonna be good enough with each other? It's almost gonna be like school. You take 100 students, okay, and everyone. Let's just say each one of those people have 2 to 3 friends, and we'll just say two for this situation. Give us 50 groups. Are those 50 groups going to come together? Let's just say half do. That sound about right. So you have 25 groups now. Okay.
Yeah,
And so now every group has 4 people. Okay. Are those groups, because that's the easy part, finding 2 people out of 98 other people to be your friend. But once you get past that, then you're looking at 96. Are you going to be able to find
right.
2 more out of 96? It's just the big thing. No one really knows. So I mean, it's either gonna be people are gonna stay with their own group, really stay with who they like, or it could be everyone makes friends, or heck, it might even be like you said, everyone could be in a complete argument, turns into an utter mess, and that crew doesn't make it on Mars. So I mean, it's just a lot of stuff to think about and all, but it's just like I said, all the astronauts, all the space agencies and all, they have to work through it together to figure all this stuff out, and we can only obviously put our input and thoughts onto it. But I've been holding y'all for a little bit, so that's gonna end the first ever episode. So have a good night, day, whatever you're on.